All day today, we will be shining a spotlight on who you really are. You think sometimes that the negative emotion that you feel is because you're looking at a condition or a circumstance that isn't pleasing. Someone said, my lover left and I am sad. And we said, no, you're not. And she said, my lover left and now I'm sad. And we said, no, you're not. Abraham, what's wrong with you? Can't you hear? My lover left and now I'm sad. And we said, no, you're not. She said, all right. I wasn't sad. My lover left. Now I'm sad. I'm sad because my lover left. And we said, we know that's how it seems. But you're sad because you're focused upon the absence of a lover, when in your vibrational reality is the presence of a lover. And what you want is the presence of a lover. And when you focus upon the absence of a lover, you tear yourself apart. And that's why you feel this negative emotion. You are assigning this sadness to someone else's behavior. We are assigning this sadness to your behavior. We are assigning this sadness to your inability to focus inside the vortex. That's hard to hear. Esther doesn't even want to hear that. Please give me just a little bit of, can't the universe just make me the one exception just this one time? Can't I focus upon the absence of what I want without it being my fault? Can't it be the fault of the person who is displaying the behavior that I'm focused upon? We say, well, that's conditional love if we've ever heard it. Now what are you going to do? Try to control the world so that you can feel better? Oh yeah, that is what you try to do, isn't it? That is what you try to do, but it isn't working out, have you noticed? When you are really vibrating in opposition to who you are, it feels miserable. But you only have one option to close that gap. You only have one option if you want to feel better, and that is find the best feeling thought. Adjust your vibration. Adjust your vibration, which means adjust your thought, which means adjust your belief, which means adjust your vibration, which means stop the resistance. And when you stop the resistance, you will become a cooperative component. And when you're a cooperative component, you'll be drawn in just like all of the other cooperative components, and you'll live happily ever after. Until the next contrasting thing throws you out of the vortex. But no problem. Once you get out, it's no problem because you know how to get back in. And you know, also, we want you to remember that there are 3 steps to the creative process. Step 1 says, contrast will cause you to ask. That's normal. That's why you came forth. You said, I will expose myself to contrast so that I can define with greater clarity desires in this leading edge time-space reality. That really is what you said. So step 1 is important to the creative process. Just don't make a career of being in step 1. Let the contrast help you take step 1, and source will take step 2. Your inner being, source, law of attraction will gather together all cooperative components. Step 2 is not your work. When you ask, it is answered, it is given, it is done. But step 3 is your work. And step 3 is you got to get in the vortex. You got to find some way of thinking thoughts that let you come into vibrational proximity of this vortex of creation. And when you do, when you get in that vortex, it will all have been worth it. And then when we say, are you enjoying the contrast of your time and place? You will say, yes. It's just like I knew it would be. It inspires me all day, every day to greater expansion. And now I know about my emotional guidance system, and now I've learned to focus my own mind. I don't stay focused long on things that bother me. But I'm not bothered by being bothered, because every time I feel negative emotion, I say to myself, oh, good, I'm having a step 1 moment. That means source is on the improvement of my life experience. But I am no longer making a career out of the step 1 moment. I'm getting myself into the vortex, into the vortex, into the vortex as quickly as possible. It seems rational to most people to just tell it like it is. And we say, if you continue to tell it like it is, if you continue to speak of the shortage of time, then the shortage of time will continue to be dominant in your experience. So you have to stop telling that story and tell a different story. And some people say, well, it makes me uncomfortable when I just make up a whole big old fib over something. And we say, well, then tell the fib in the way that doesn't upset you. In other words, talk about your joy of writing rather than your lack of time. Talk about the power of alignment rather than your lack of time. Talk about the exhilaration you get from writing rather than your lack of time. Talk about how time does begin to show itself to you more and more. Talk about how everybody has the same 24 hours. Talk about how you can spend 24 hours in alignment or 24 hours out of alignment, and the in alignment time is ever so much more productive. Talk about the laws of the universe. In other words, we've noticed that usually the more specific you are, the more resistant you are. And the more general you are, the less resistant you are. So just keep stepping back into more and more general statements until you find yourself in alignment with who you are. For example, I can feel the power of my alignment when I accomplish it. And I've discovered that I can accomplish alignment anytime I decide to. And I'm learning that no matter what I'm doing, I have the ability to reach for alignment factors within it. Okay. So it doesn't really matter what I'm doing or where I'm doing it or who I'm doing it with. I can focus myself into alignment. Everything that I want is because I think I will feel better in the having of it. And by reaching for alignment, I feel better first. That's what we were saying, get in the vortex and then think, get in the vortex and then write. In other words, just make general statements. This is something that all of you are in a position to do more clearly now than ever before, because now, even though you might not be in a position where you can stop doing what you're doing in order to do something else you want to do, a lot of you feel that that's the position you're in. You now have understanding of the laws of the universe. In other words, you now can speak and feel and know about the vortex. You can say, I'm an extension of source energy, and through the power of my focus, I can be outside the vortex and therefore less productive, or inside the vortex and therefore more productive. I can be outside the vortex and feel less good, or I can be inside the vortex and feel supremely good. I have the power to focus myself into the vortex no matter what, all day, every day. I am an extension of source energy. The larger part of me is already in the vortex. The larger part of me is calling me there. When I feel negative emotion, it just means I'm not going. When I feel positive emotion, it means I'm moving in the direction of it. I have this guidance that is always there for me. I believe in the laws of the universe. I believe that law of attraction is consistent. I believe that my life has caused me to ask for things that are all queued up for me vibrationally. I believe that my guidance lets me know, my emotional guidance, whether I'm in the vicinity of it or not. I believe that when I'm fearful, I'm further from the vortex. I believe that when I'm angry, I'm not as far, but still far from the vortex. When I'm overwhelmed, I'm still pretty far from the vortex. When I'm hopeful, I'm right on the verge of the vortex. If I can be hopeful, the vortex will take me in. Take me in. Now I'm believing. Now I'm in the vortex. I understand the laws of the universe. I understand the eternal nature of my being. I understand that I'm spiritual no matter what. I understand that source energy is always there, wrapped around all that I have become. I understand that my emotions are my indicator of how well aligned or not aligned I am. I understand that my work is to close this gap. I understand that there are things that I can focus upon that will take me right in the vortex, and things I can focus upon that will take me right out of the vortex. I understand that nothing is more important than that I be in the vortex. There are so many things that I've been worried about that I can't do anything about. All of these uncontrollable components, I've decided to stop trying to control the uncontrollable and control something that I can control, which is my proximity to the vortex. I can tell a better feeling story. I can't change that and that and that and that, but I can tell a better feeling story. And when I tell a better feeling story, now I'm in the vortex where everything that I want is. And when I'm in the vortex, now the world looks different, the world feels different, I rendezvous with different things. Even time is different from inside the vortex, you say. So over time, we've said to you, when you want it and believe it, it is. Then we began telling you that you are a creator. And that if you are a deliberate creator, which means you think more about what you want, you script it, you write about it, you talk about it, that more of the things that you want will begin to come into your experience. Be more deliberate in your intent, we said to you. Then we watched you. You worried about your thoughts too much then. You got the idea that every word that popped out of your mouth was going to bring immediate response to that word. So you said, cancel, 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 as you tried to suck back the word before law of attraction took it away and ran with it. And so then we began explaining to you that well-being really is the basis of your experience, and that you have much latitude and leeway. And that if you will think about allowing what you want to come, that there is a step 3 process. Life causes you to do step 1, ask. Source answers, and today we're telling you not just answers. Source literally becomes the vibrational equivalent of what you're asking for and holds it in this vortex where law of attraction is gathering. Step 3 is you got to figure out how to be a vibrational match. And then for a while, we offered you the analogy that when you ask, Source answers. And as law of attraction responds to Source holding the fullness of all you've asked for, as law of attraction responds to that request, the sensation to you is like a being called downstream, naturally toward the fulfillment of what you're wanting. Now, the benefit of being a vibrational match to what's in the vortex is you now have clear sight. You know what to do. Your impulses are right on key. Your timing's good. You feel exhilaration. The words that flow forth from you are accurate and on point every single time. When you're in the vortex, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. When you're in the vortex, you're all that life has caused you to become. And that's really, really a lot. Because you were a great deal before you came into this body, and being here, you've become more still. You are source energy in physical bodies, and when you're complaining, you're not letting yourself be it. Well, if you're able to conjure a consistently good feeling so that you're consistently hanging around in the vortex, the ideas that support it and explain it and describe it and reflect it will begin occurring to you, as will rendezvous with real life experience. We think that what you've accomplished is more than the beginning place. What fun this has been. So, do you feel a little more vibrational than you did when we began? Do you feel more an emotional responder to the vibrational being that you are a little more than you did when we began? You're more true to yourself, because who you are is a vibrational being. Who you really are is someone who knows your value. And when you're true to yourself, you know your value. When you're true to yourself, you love. You love yourself and you love others. But it's easier just to love than to love others. It's easier to love some than to love all. And it's easier just to love than to love some. You get the sense of what we're talking about? The state of being is much easier to accomplish than you have formerly thought. So this for sure has been accomplished as we've played together today. You are more vibrationally oriented than you have been, which means you are more step 3 oriented than you have been. You are more blended than you have been. You're more sensitive to energy than you have been. You're more like the beasts of your planet than you have been. You're more allowing than you have been. You're more in tune with who you really are than you have been. So you feel better than you usually feel. You're more articulate than you have been. You're more fun than you have been. You're more frisky than you have been. You're more eager than you have been. You're more of who you really are than you have been. In other words, you have found and sustained the feeling place of who you really are for a longer period of time than you usually do. In other words, you're more in the vortex than you have been. But having said all of that, you're still free to move about. But the most significant thing that we want to say to you is you are more aware of and practiced at, even if you just listened and didn't speak, you are a better focuser now than you have been. Focuser of what? Focuser of energy. Focuser of energy. Focuser of energy. Are you a better focuser of thought? Maybe, maybe not. Are you a better focuser of energy? For sure. So, play with the idea that you think and feel and 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 think, feel and think, feel and think, feel and think. And as you sit to meditate, and it's really good to do it, sit to feel, sit to feel, sit to feel, sit to feel well-being, sit to feel secure. Sit to feel well-being. Sit to feel stable. Sit to feel